Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. Federal government announces issuance of sovereign green bonds. Acting President Osinbajo says initiative will address challenges of energy and environment. South Africa's envoy to Nigeria explains steps taken to halt xenophobic attacks on Nigerians. Protesters invade premises of South African telecoms firm in Abuja. NNPC Group Managing Director advocates building Nigeria's oil reserves to 40 billion barrels per day by 2020, following rising global demand. And top U.S. government officials visit Mexico to discuss President Trump's new policy on immigrants. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from the respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. And now to our Eyewitness photos that you sent in. First is this from Cocoa, situated in the Warri area of Delta State. Our Eyewitness reporter says a waste management company is burying substances suspected to be toxic in nature and wants the state and federal ministries of environment to investigate the matter. Well, next is this image from Kaduna State, where along the Zaria Highway, that is Zaria, beg your pardon, Highway, as the federal government signpost that has been distorted. Well, our Eyewitness understands the frustrations of the people but urges them to show restraint. Our final picture for the day is this of an overloaded truck in the Oshodi axis of Lagos State. Our Eyewitness reporter is saddened by the inaction of the road safety agencies who ignored this dangerous act. We thank you for the pictures and we urge that you keep them coming. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed November the 16th, 2017 for the governorship elections in Anambra State. The INEC National Commissioner, Mr. Solomon Shoebi, announced the date in Abuja, saying that political parties are expected to start conducting their primaries between July 22 and September 2nd, 2017. The Commission also states that it will work with the police in prosecuting 25 staff of INEC indicted for the role they played in the Rivers rerun election last year.
Today, the Commission has approved the timetable and schedule of activities for the Anambra State governorship election scheduled for Saturday, 18th November 2017. You can see that if you look at the time frame, we are in February. We are given about 8 hours, about 8 months notice for the conduct of this election. We have 8 months. Finally, the police have concluded their investigations, and 25 of the Commission's staff who were indicted will be prosecuted. The Commission resolved to fully cooperate with the police in this process. In addition, and without prejudice to their prosecution, they will also face the Commission's internal disciplinary process.
And the National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Ali Modu Sheriff, has reopened the National Secretariat of the party 9 months after it was sealed by the police following the start of the leadership tussle. Senator Sheriff, who was at the office for an inspection, told journalists that he was there to see the work that needed to be done before Monday, when he and his team are expected to commence running the affairs of the party from the Secretariat. He also promised not to victimize anyone, as his goal is to unite all members of the party.
We were Here, this evening to the National Secretariat in order to assist the Secretariat with view of coming back to resume formally by Monday or Tuesday next week. We want to see what kind of repairs we have to undertake before the place will be completely habitable for everybody. We'll get around to see, and we'll get our cleaners, our painters, by the grace of Allah, to work over the weekend. And while they are cleaning, we'll continue with our wide consultation of repositioning the PDP as when it was in 1999. And we are doing everything humanly possible to carry everybody along. Nobody will be victimized for taking a different position. It's politics.
Well, let's go over to our Abuja studios where Ivy Clem is waiting for more stories.
A Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja has sentenced one Mr. Suleiman Olalekon to death by hanging for killing his wife, Mrs. Chika Egbo, on November the 20th, 2012 in a case of domestic violence. The convict, Mr. Olalekon, was said to have poured acid on his wife, having become overwhelmed by the fact that the deceased went back to prostitution against his best advice. The trial judge, Justice Lawal Akapo, in his ruling, found the accused guilty for the murder of his wife and sentenced him to death accordingly. Justice Akapo, in arriving at his judgment, said he believed the murder of Chika Agbo Olalekon was premeditated. The State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Adeniji Kazim, who was the lead prosecuting counsel in his reaction to the judgment, thanked the court for a well-considered punishment. A prosecution witness at the head of the investigations at the Code of Conduct Bureau says Senator Bukola Saraki, as a former governor of Kwara State, was allowed to, by law, to own shares in any company while in office. Mr. Samuel Makdojemu had earlier testified that the Senate President, in one of his asset declaration forms, claimed to have acquired properties at number 15A and 17A McDonald Street, Ikoyi, Lagos, from proceeds of rice and sugar commodities. He had stated that engaging in sales of rice and sugar commodities was unlawful for any public officer. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, has the report.
After 2 weeks of recess, the trial of the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, has resumed at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, where the prosecution has ordered charges against him, bringing the counts to 18. In the new counts, the federal government accuses the Senate President of making a false asset declaration that his properties acquired at number 15A and 17A McDonald Street, Ikoyi, Lagos, were purchased directly from the federal government with proceeds of sales of rice and sugar commodities, when their investigations indicate that he made the purchase with loans collected from a commercial bank. The charge also accused him of making a false declaration that he had controlling shares in Carlyle Properties and Investment and Tiny Tea Limited. On the examination, the prosecution witness Samuel Modojemu, who is the head of the investigation unit of the Code of Conduct Bureau, said a public servant cannot be involved in the sales of rice and sugar, but is allowed to be involved in farming. However, on the cross-examination by the defense counsel, the witness said that the law does not forbid a public servant from having shares in a company. After 6 hours of examination and cross-examination, the tribunal adjourned for the day.
They have to keep amending it because we have destroyed the case, and they have to go repairing it. We'll simply keep destroying the case, and maybe we'll have a lot more of the amendments.
And as expected, the prosecution feels otherwise.
What we amended in line with the evidence. As at the time we had a former, we never got all those evidence we had. And with the evidence that those witnesses tendered, we felt that there is need to bring in those evidence in line with the charge.
The case has been adjourned to the 2nd of March 2017, when the defense team, that is, lawyers to the Senate President, will continue the cross-examination of the prosecution witness. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
The United States Africa Command has announced a strong commitment to Nigeria in its battle against insurgency, as well as other countries in the Lake Chad Basin. The commander of AFRICOM, Thomas Waldhauser, noted that information sharing with the multinational joint task force is part of a continuous strategy to combat terrorism. He told journalists after a lecture for Course 25 at the National Defense College that the U.S. will continue to participate in the insurgency fight as long as all reports of progress tallies with actuality. Our correspondent Gloria Umeozioke reports.
Say no to Shekau.
The territorial victory against insurgency by the military raised hope for Nigerians, even though there are pockets of attacks by the Boko Haram militants. The intelligence of the military has in many ways come under scrutiny, but the United States gave assurances when it reiterated the need to enforce partnership with Africa towards development.
We have a strong commitment, and how we adjust to that in terms of resources or effort that we put out to it, I think to a large degree depends on what happens on the ground. Our overall strategy has been and continues to be that the Lake Chad Basin region countries take care of this on their own, take care of this themselves with our assistance.
Sharing information and an overall goal to develop capacity is very much the target for the command.
We want to provide information to assist partner nations do whatever the job may be. So we have provided information to Nigeria. We have provided information to the multinational joint task force, and we will continue to do that because it's a part of the capability and capacity building, and it allows partner nations to do these jobs then for themselves.
Nigeria and the United States have come a long way in terms of our relationship, particularly in the area of economy and security. We should continue to go together. We should continue to partner, especially to ensure absolute security of our nation and indeed Africa in general.
Some displaced residents have returned to their communities amid notable improvements. But it is still far from Uhuru, and so with this, the government is expected to reinforce its initial push against Boko Haram with the support of friendly countries like the United States. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, Central Bank of Nigeria to extend its cashless policy to the remaining 30 states. That's on Business News. Stay with us.